Force Health Protection Division at USAMDA is the only operational division here. Our mission is to provide medical countermeasures, medical treatments that are not necessarily licensed in the United States under appropriate regulatory mechanisms to the warfighter. If I had to try to explain to people what's really important that we do is we form a bridge between in the regulatory world and the product development world. The regulatory mechanisms that we use and that we operate within are niche areas within the regulatory environment. If you go out into industry, you're going to find relatively few people that are very familiar with either expanded access regulations or emergency use authorization, because it just doesn't come up for them. But it's the center of our world here. What does a product manager here in FHP do? Basically manage everything about the product from the development of the protocol through the logistics. We actually maintain the inventory of products. We have them stored in some cases locally here. In other cases, we have them positioned in Europe or in Korea. If time is of the essence in order to get this treatment to someone, we make sure that some of the product is close to where it's likely to be needed. Many of our products are for endemic diseases. For example, ribavirin is for the treatment of hemorrhagic fever with renal syndrome and a couple of other hemorrhagic fever viruses for which there is no approved treatment. One product in particular that FHP manages distribution and use for is French freeze-dried plasma.
So FTP is used in conjunction with the MARCH acronym for massive hemorrhage in tactical casualty combat care. So once the medic determines that an injury is life-threatening from massive transfusion, in the absence of fresh frozen plasma, freeze-dried plasma can be reconstituted and used at the point of injury. So he's spiking the sterile water first to create a vacuum, and the vacuum will suck all the sterile water into the lyophilized plasma. Ideally, the product would be reconstituted by someone trained so the medic could continue to treat the patient. But for instructional purposes, the medic will demonstrate reconstituting the fluid and the plasma at the point of injury. So once the plasma is reconstituted with sterile water for injection, the medic will gently rotate the bottle to get the particulate to dissolve, which just usually takes between 3 and 5 minutes. So the medic will get out the filtered micron tubing and attach a needle or lure lock to the end of the tubing. An intravenous line would have already been established. So as he primes the line, you want to open the vented window on the tubing. And as he primes the chamber, the blood will prime the tube as he unrolls the roller clamp. So once the product is reconstituted, the bottle can be hung in any field expedient matter that would keep it elevated above the patient so it would infuse into the IV. Once the line is primed, then the FTP is ready to be connected to an intravenous line and administered to the patient.
There's a certain amount of gratification in seeing the products you're managing actually being used and actually, in our case, saving lives. That's what we're here for. We're here to support the warfighter and try to alleviate suffering, and these diseases are, in many cases, rare. The probability may be low, but the consequences are very high. So having something in place to be able to respond to that is very important and personally gratifying.